And so we're here today to talk about Sustainable Development Goal number 12, responsible production and consumption. And so you've been in this space for a long time, Bernadette. What is it that you're seeing locally in Wellington or in New Zealand? What are the impacts of that the textile industry is having on us here?
According to Auckland Council, textiles and clothing is the fastest growing waste stream, and it's growing exponentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's amazing when I think about my grandma, who probably had 2 coats in her life and, you know, a handful of dresses in the wardrobe, that we've got to the stage that that's the fastest growing
waste stream.
Wow.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
So talking about waste and consumption, so also all of that production in clothing impacts on climate, climate change situation.
Yeah. Alan MacArthur, who you know, they've found that if we continue on with our consumption the way we're going, by 2050 our clothing system will use more than a quarter of the carbon associated with that 2-degree pathway to prevent massive global warming or the impacts of that.
That makes me look at what we're wearing today a little bit differently. But so that's led to the formery. What is the purpose of the formery now?
It's really to change our macro systems around clothing, because we've had 100 billion units or 100 billion garments made every year, but about 1% of that is recycled back into clothing. So there's 99% of clothing just going either to landfill or to incineration. So it's a massive, massive loss of resources and loss of value. So we really need to tap into that and improve our systems around that so we can capture more value, so we're not drawing on virgin resources all the time, because we're overshooting the planet's biophysical capability. We're consuming more than we can produce in a year. I think it's something like we hit our global allowance at about 7 months now, instead of 12 months, so 5-month deficit's getting quite serious.
Yeah. What are the opportunities you're seeing with textile, with this as a resource? So Formery has just launched your 3rd stage. Are there any ideas or channels or paths we can go down to see this as a resource?
Yeah, so we've designed this whole model to try and divert textiles to landfill, so put them back into production. And we realised very early on that upcycling something, so our first product that we made was an upholstery fabric that was made from coffee sacks that we then blended with wool and made into upholstery fabric for Starbucks in the States. And we won all these awards and we felt really great and we were really excited.
It's pretty cool.
It was really cool when we launched it in Mayfair, London. And it wasn't until after we launched it that we saw one of Starbucks' warehouses, and we realised then just the scale of it. You could take 1,000 kilos of coffee sacks out and it would make 0 difference, because it would just all flood back in again.
Wow.
So that's when we realised, individual projects weren't going to cut it. We need a real systems change around it. Again, coming back to there being very little clothing production in New Zealand, we have to look at other ways of using that fibre. So industrial processes that can go back into, because the volumes are just massive when you think of all the sheeting from the DHBs, the hospitals, all the gowns, all the towels, all the sheeting from hotels, all the
dressing gowns.
Dressing gowns. All the curtains, all the serviettes, all the face cloth towels. It's absolutely massive.
Is there an example of something that has been happening that you can talk about, where fibres are able to be reused in another form?
In another form?
Or just reused, repurposed?
There's an upcycling model where people often shred it and blend it with something else. And
Right.
like with our upholstery fabric, putting
Right.
it into a higher grade product than it was originally.
Right, nice.
But that's only a really small percentage of the market. There's the reuse model where if garments are decommissioned, like we recently
Right.
did a project with Wellington Zoo,
Yes.
where the zookeepers were having a change of uniform. So we removed the branding and that went back out to communities in
Right,
need.
yes.
So, and the zoo uniforms are a really great example because they're really hard wearing garments, you can
Yes,
just
yes.
imagine. So they're
So they've
great
still
for-
got a lot of life
Yeah.
left in them.
Yeah. So they went out to community groups, to gardening groups, to people as workwear,
Great.
and got a second life.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Reuse that we see in Wellington is the likes of Wishbone Bikes and Jen taking the used carpets that then formed into pallets, and then it's remoulded or re-extruded into their children's bikes. It's such a great story.
Yes, yes. And quite an unsung hero for Wellington, I think. They actually, being typical Kiwis, don't really scream about what they are doing. But when I did talk to Jen about the impact that was having, they've seen, without getting my folder out, quite impressive growth in the last 3 years. But they've actually sold, as I understand, over 20,000 versions of their recycled or upcycled bike, and mostly to Europe. And what gets me really excited is that is a design opportunity for New Zealand, and I think that's a real asset that we hold here, and that's where we could be really focusing in. How do we redesign or design things, making the design process better, starting from scratch? And in terms of circular economy, that's one of the ultimate models that we move toward a stewardship model where we carry on owning the product, and therefore we're more likely to be intended on it having a good long life cycle rather than the take, make, waste, throw away cycle. So with the circular economy, the Sustainable Business Network is really wanting to take a strong deep dive or really accelerate the progress of the circular economy in New Zealand. And there are different versions of the way we talk about the circular economy. Do you have a version that you like to use?
I don't know, if I had to think off the top of my head, it's looping resources back into usefulness.
Nice.
And we do have a little hashtag that we use to useful, but
I love used to useful. I've started using that.
Yeah, we could go used to useful to used to useful.
Yes, and just keep it going around. Yes, so the circular economy is defined at the Sustainable Business as moving from the take, make, waste model, which we're currently using, to where all materials are maximised, their life cycle is optimised, and then at the end of life they go back into being reutilised. And out of that also you get the two strains where they need to slip into, which is the biological, and I guess that's where we come to the cradle to cradle model. Actually, this was the first book on sustainability I've ever read, and I've just reread it, and it makes me so excited. It actually gives me hope that we've got a system that we can fit into. But yes, so resources go back into a biological circular system where they go back even into compost so that they grow again and we reutilise them. So your composting system is an obvious, very clear example of that. And then, or a technological loop where like plastic, where the system is that they are taking a number one clear plastic and able to put that straight back into the system and to form a closed loop system for that technological product.
I see as you're saying it, you're drawing
the circle, yeah, and yes, exactly. And actually now, this is totally off topic, but I love one of the beautiful Māori carving signs is often circular, isn't it? And that's actually what I say, that cradle to cradle, all of these jargon phrases are actually what was happening forever ago.
Yeah.
They're a natural way that we would have made things happen.
But we've seen the rise of more people, and the more we have this conversation around circular economy across, you see governments start to talk about it, you see different industries talk about it, then it will just become business as usual, become the norm.
Good opportunity for Victoria University.
That's right. So when we talk about that loss of, 99 billion garments, while it's an appalling figure, there's a massive opportunity in there with design. How we take those used, and often they're not very used, like the average Zara garment's worn something like 4 or 6 times.
Zara,
Yeah.
only 4 to 6 times.
Yeah. It's a commodity. It's treated like a disposal commodity. I mean, generally the fibre production's not great for a start. They're low quality garments for a start. But when you think it takes 3 years of a person's drinking water to make one cotton t-shirt, you
Yes.
start to think about the resource loss if you're only going to wear it a couple of times.
Absolutely. In terms of consumers, we were talking before about what consumers need to do. Like, we've got an amazing organisation that's just launched globally, Conscious Consumers, and they started in Wellington, and they're an accreditation scheme which matches, the consumer with the business, and the business can get accreditation in areas especially like waste. And I read this morning that 600,000 kgs they've helped businesses save. So that means consumers like you and I would prioritise those cafes or businesses if we knew that they were doing that. And we know that procurement is a really important part of an action that businesses can take if they choose to buy off other businesses that are doing good. They can have a social and environmental impact through the decisions that they're making, buying off other good businesses. But do you think that it's the consumer's problem? What do you think about the consumer having to do all of this groundwork to navigate the way on who they actually buy from?
I use the Good On You app for looking at clothing brands.
Nice.
But it's one part of the picture, but the part that concerns me is supply chains are really complex. So people that don't work in those supply chains, it can be near on impossible to navigate. And pushing that responsibility to the individual who feels compelled to do the best they can is sometimes, I think, unfair, and it's kind of an abdication of governments around the world. If there was proper policy in place that protected the environment, if there was good unions or protection of the workers' rights, then the individual wouldn't be having to make choices around what is more ethical and what is not, because the framework would be there. So in a way we need to kind of push back into government and say we need these policies to protect people and to protect the environment, and they need to be stronger.
And this is becoming very critical because the future of our resources, the availability, it's just, we're facing a critical scenario going forward.
Yeah. Well, recently we had, I don't want to mention brand names, but a really high profile brand, a luxury brand, burning tens of millions of dollars worth of product that hadn't been sold. And there was a massive backlash to that. And a lot of it is around just that squandering of resources. So they came under huge pressure and immediately stopped burning unsold stock. So there was the public outcry. The people do really, really care about this, and it's the commons, it's water resources that belong to everyone,
Yes.
that had just been burnt or thrown in landfill and squandered.
Right, yes, the commons. That's a beautiful way to put it. So interestingly too, with the Better Futures report that came out from Colmar Brunton, it states that 69% of people will happily pay a little bit more for a product that is environmentally or socially responsible, and I think 83% will stop buying a product if they find the opposite. So statistics wise, that's creating a great opportunity to see that consumers are well prepared to invest in products that are trying to make a difference.
I always buy fair trade bananas and fair trade coffee. You just get this little, just know I'm just doing a little bit of good.
Great. So as a consumer, we have the power individually to start supporting ideas, businesses like Karmacola who are fair trade and doing an amazing thing, but also, supporting businesses when they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, but it's not just that individuals. While we want individuals to shop ethically and to vote with their purse, and it's a hugely exciting time for design disciplines, and humans have this innate capability if something's not working or a service is not working, to fix it and adjust it. And this gives us a massive opportunity to use our creativity, to use our skills across all industries to improve things. I think it's a hugely exciting time.